Janice Crowns. I am Queen. So today we're going to be drafting an underbust corset dress with curved waistline. First, I'm going to begin with putting down my starting line. Then from this line, I'm going to take down my shoulder to bust measurement. So this line is serving as my shoulder line. So my shoulder to bust measurement is 10 inches. To under bust rather is 13 inches. To my front waistline is 16 inches. Then to the length of this top, I wanted it to be 25 inches, but my pattern paper is not that long. It's just 24.5 inches, and that's what I'm going to use for my length. I'm going to replace that here. My shoulder to bust, under bust, waistline, and the length of this top. Okay, so I'm going to extend my lines like this, connecting the points I made. After doing this, I'm going to divide my shoulder measurement by 2, which is 7.5 inches. 7.5 inches. I'm going to mark it down. Then my neck width is 3 inches. My neck depth is 3 inches. So I'm just going to draft the basic bodice pattern first before converting it to underbust corset dress. Okay, so I'm going to come down from this point by 1 inch. Then I'm going to create my curve for my neckline. Please note that I'm not going to be making use of this neckline. I'm just drafting the basic bodice first before converting it to the corset I'm working on. Connect the 1 inch to the neckline. Then get your armhole depth by dividing your round bust measurement by 6, then add 1.5 inches. So mine is 7.5 inches. So I'll mark it here. Alright, so I'm going to make sure that I have exactly what I have on my shoulder here, which is 7.5, just to make sure that I have a straight line. Then connect my shoulder to this point I made here, creating my armhole depth. Then extend this line like this. I'm going to label my lines. This is my chest point or chest line, bust point, under bust, waistline, and a hemline. So now on my armhole depth line, I'm going to get the midpoint of what I have there. The midpoint just simply means divide whatever you have there into 2 equal parts, then mark whatever you have of what you have there. Then come in by 0.5 inch here to create your armhole curve. Divide your round bust measurement by 4 and mark whatever you have there. Mine is 9 inches. Then I'm going to connect here, here, and there with my curve. So just place your curve following the points. Connect your points like this. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to get my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5 inches. I mark it on the bust point, on the waistline, and also on the hemline. I'm going to connect this with my ruler to create a straight line. From the bust point, I'm going to come down by 0.5 inch. You can use 1 inch if you want. So I'm using 0.5 inch, just half an inch, mark it there. Then from my hemline, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. So on the waistline, I'm going to go out on both sides by 0.5 inch. That is on both sides. Now I'm going to connect to the point I came down from the bust line, and also to the point I came up from the hemline to create my dart. just do as you see me doing. It's just the basic that we're trying to create here. So after doing this, I'm going to go ahead and pull down my measurements. All right, so I've done that for my bust point, which is my round bust divided by 4. I'm going to mark it here. My round waist divided by 4, I'm going to mark it here as well. Then measure my dart, which is 1 inch, then replace it on that waistline. Then my round hip divided by 4, place it there and mark it. Connect the points. So I'm going to be using my curve to connect this. Then use my armhole curve to get this. You can use your French curve as well. I'm just working with what I have. So this is just our basic top. So let's go ahead and convert this to our underbust corset. All right, so before we continue, I'm going to put down my side dart. My side dart is just difference between my front waist measurement and my back waist measurement. So what I have for my front is 16 inches, then for my back is 14.5. So the difference there is 1.5, which I have marked, connected to the bust point. You can use whatever you have after subtracting and place it as your dart. So now I'm going to work on my neckline. So I'm just going to measure what I have from my shoulder line to my chest line. You can decide to come down to your bust line, and if you want more drama, you can bring it down a little bit below your bust line. But I'm going to be working with my chest line, which I have here as 8.5 inches. I'm just going to create a V-like neckline here. You see the way I place my curve rule or my ruler. I'm just going to draw a straight line like this, giving me that V shape. That is all for the neckline. So the next one we're going to work on is on the underbust, to tighten the underbust. So I'm going to be making use of 1.5 inches and I'm dividing it into 2. So you can use 2 inches if you want, depending on your size. Just divide it into 2 and mark whatever you have. So now I'm placing what I have on my dart leg, not on the center line. I'm marking equal measurement on both sides. So I'm going to extend it downwards. So begin marking your dart from your dart leg, not from the center line. All right. So I'm going to extend the lines like this. Make sure your ruler is straight. So my marker here is misbehaving, but so after doing this, I'm going to create a curve with my curve rule from these lines I made here to the bust point on both sides. Okay, so just use your curve rule. You can use your free hand if you want, but you need that curve, so go ahead with your curve rule. Use your curve rule to get this curve. Just mix the same curve on both sides. Do your best to make sure you have the same looking curve. Okay, so I'm going to now go to my shoulder line and get the midpoint. This is because I want to close that side, that the midpoint, that is half of what you have there, then connect it to your bust point or bust line, which is straight line. This is it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is open up my shoulder. So I'm basically just coming here to cut from the line here all the way to the bust line. And please, when doing this, don't cut all the way, just leave a little like this, a little. Then I'm going to come to this bust line here, then cut. You can see I'm cutting on the place labeled as bust line. All right, cut it like this, then at the same time just leave little, don't cut all the way through. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to place this to cover the side dart. Watch what I do here. Let me make this dart more visible so you know what we're working on in case you're not seeing this line. Okay, my marker is misbehaving, but let me change it. Okay, so this is better. So I'm going to cover it like this. Okay, here I'm going to use my paper tape to secure this point, just so that it holds it in place like this. Now if you notice at the side, or on the side, we have shortage there. All you need to do is just to connect your armhole down straight to create that line again, just like this. Okay, we've replaced that part. So we're going to tighten our shoulder. I'm just going to come in on both sides, or go out on both sides by 0.25. that is half of an inch. Okay, so I'm just going to mark what I have here, then connect it all the way to the bust line on both sides. Now this might be a bit challenging for you to connect these lines because the lines will be very narrow. Just do your best to make sure you get the lines to connect. Okay, so after doing this, the next thing we're going to do is to create our bust curve or bra curve. So I'm not going to be making use of this part. I'm putting these dots on. Also this part I'm not going to make use of it, so you know what we're working with. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead to create the bra cups, creating the bra cups. So this is just what you will do. Place your curve like this, get the curve area. Okay, don't make it too curvy, but let it be curved like this, you see. Then I'm going to go to this other part and just curve like this. Okay, and connect like this. Okay, so now I'm going to measure what I have here, and when I measured it, I have 0.5. I'm going to replace it here on the chest line, then use my marker to make it more visible. Okay, so now we're going to take our measurement again. All right, so my waist measurement, please just ignore the center dart. Just see what I'm doing. My waist measurement divided by 4, I just marked it. Then I'll measure this hole that I have here. What I have is 2 inches. I'm going to place it there like this. Then I'll measure what my round hip divided by 4, then measure the dart. What I have on that part 2 for the dart is 2 inches. Mark it. So we're going to connect our lines like this. Okay, so I'm going to connect like this. I'll be using the marker so you see the line we're working with. So we're no longer working with these other lines that we marked earlier. We're going to be using this one with the marker like this. All right, so this is what it should look like. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, the center front, side front. I'm going to cut this off, so we'll now work on the other part of the corset. So I'm starting with cutting the neckline like this. You see the lines I'm following the marker line. I'm going to cut away this dart like this. Please take note of the places I'm cutting. So I've labeled my two, let me call them bra cups. 1 and 2. I'm pointing arrows to where I'm and how I'm going to sew them or join them. So I'm cutting off the darts on this part. I'm also cutting this side off. Now take note that there's no stitching allowance to this pattern yet. Okay, so I'm going to place these bra cups aside and work on this part. Now I'm joining these two parts with my paper tape because we're here to get that curve waistline. Okay, so place them close together, not on top of each other, together. Then use your masking tape or your paper tape and place over them like this. Cut off the excess part of the tape, not the paper please, the tape. Cut them off. All right, since we have that sorted out, I'm going to, there's a little tape here. Okay, I'm going to come down from my waistline, but before that, let me make my waistline more visible with my marker. This is my waistline. Okay, so I'm coming down from this waistline with 5 inches. You can choose to use 4 inches, 4.5 or 5 inches. I'm going to connect all the way to that point there. Okay, see as I place my curve, you can see I'm trying to get that curve part. So just connect all the way there. You see the lines, then connect this to the center. Now cut this off. We have gotten that curved waistline. So this is what our front pattern looks like. All right, to cut our back pattern, we're going to start with another pattern paper. We're starting with our starting line as usual. So I'm going to just put down my measurement. So my bust measurement, which is 10 inches, mark it. Then my waist measurement. My waist measurement, like I said earlier, for the back at 14.5. That's what I'm making use of. Okay, I'm going to replace the same or repeat the same thing here. So now don't go all the way to put down the length of the top you used before for this back, because you know that we have different waist line measurement for the front and the back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to bring my front piece like this and measure what I have from this waist here. Remember, we've closed the dart, so from this waist here, what I have is 9 inches, and that's what I'm going to place on this 14.5 inches I have as my back waistline. Hope you understand what I just said. So we're going to put this into consideration. So connect this with a straight line. So remember, I measured 24.5 as my top length. Okay, so now if I'm to place my measuring tape from this point, that is from here down here, you can see that it is not the same thing. So that is why you have to do what I did. So I'm going to put my shoulder measurement divided by 2, then my neckline as 3 inches, then my neck depth for the back as 1.5. So connect with a curve like this. I'll come down from this point by 1 inch as usual for our shoulder slant or slope. So mark your curve like this for your neckline, then connect the 1 inches or 1 inch point to the neckline as well. Then for our armhole depth, divide your round bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Then extend the lines. Make sure you have the same thing you have on your shoulder here. So then connect this shoulder line to this point you just put down. Then go ahead and extend the line like this. So we're going to label our lines so we know what we're working with. All right, so as we all know, this is our chest line, bust point, waistline, hemline. Okay, so to get our armhole curve for the back, we're just going to get the midpoint of this armhole. But before then, let me put down my round bust measurement divided by 4. So divide what you have here by 2 then just connect it. You're not going to come in by 0.5. all right, just connect it like this. This is the back pattern here. So I'm just connecting this all the way here with the marker, so you can see the difference of the back armhole. Right, go ahead and put down your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I'm starting from the chest line. If you notice, for the front pattern, we started from the bust point, so just connect all the way to the hemline from the chest line. All right, so just as I did for the front pattern, I'm going to go in on both sides, or go out on both sides by 0.5 inch. Then I'm going to come up from the hemline by 2 inches like I did for the front, then just connect it all the way to the chest line. All right, like this, like this. So after doing this, go ahead and put down your round body measurement but divided by 4. So for my waist, I'm going to measure my dart and replace there also. Then my round hip divided by 4, then connect the lines or the points. Okay, so this is just your normal basic back bodice, but this is without a zipper allowance. You can choose to cut your zipper allowance when cutting on the actual fabric, or you can choose to add your eyelets when cutting your fabric. All right, so now I'm going to bring this front piece and place it like this. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to make sure that I have the same sides on both pattern paper. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to place it like this, placing the waistline together. You can see that pencil line, that is the inner line here. I'm making sure it aligns with the back pattern paper. So I'm marking this point here on the armhole because I'm going to put a curve all the way to the center back of this pattern. Okay, so I'm going to use my curve like this because I want a little curve here. So I'm going to label this my back yoke. So you can choose to be more creative with your back. You can create your keyhole back yoke. So on this point of this dart, I decided to come out on both sides by 0.5 inch. There's a reason for it. So I'm also going to come down here. When I measured what I have at the waist now, I have 2 inches. So I'm going to divide the 2 inches and put 1 inch on both of the dart line. Then I'm going to come out on both sides here by 0.25 inch. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want my back piece to be the same size as the front piece. Because if you don't do this, I notice if you don't do this, your back yoke will come out bigger than your front piece, and you don't want that. All right, so I'm just going to connect this line like this. Okay, connect like this, then connect all the way down. So I'm not going to be working on this part. I'm going to be cutting it off. So you see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to cut off this back yoke so I can work more on this pattern. There's an easier way to get this to draft this back pattern if you're not making use of a yoke, but we're making use of a yoke for this style, so that's why I'm using this method. Okay, this is my back yoke. I'm keeping it aside. Then I'm going to cut this off because I'm going to work in with this lower part. Label this. Mind you, this is our chest line, so you don't forget. You can choose to fold in the darts like this and use your tape to secure it, but this is what you have. But I chose to cut it off because it was a bit bulky, so I'm just cutting off the dart area. So I'm going to place this together like this and secure it with my tape like this. Cut off the excess part of the tape. Then I'll place my front piece like this. Then go ahead and use it as a template for the side of the back. So I'm just tracing what I have on the side of the front like this, just to get that curve, because the back piece, the sides of the back piece and the front piece must align, because you're going to be joining those parts together. Okay, so I'm going to mark it here. Let me use my marker to make it more visible. All right, so what I did, this is what I did. I'm just following the lines I created with my marker. Then I'm using my curve rule to get this curvy part here. Then this is it. Then I'm going to place my curve like this to get this curve here at the center. Then connect it all the way to the center back. Okay, so this is it. You see this, the front piece and the side piece, they are the same size, and the sides of the back and front align. So I'm going to cut off my back piece like this. So I'm cutting on the marker line, not the pencil line. So this is what my back piece and my front pieces look like. Thank you for watching.